Hi everyone, welcome to Behind the Numbers. My name is Dave Bookbinder and welcome back to the show where we dig deeper to understand what really matters most in business. We are coming to you live from the RVN television studios, and today we're going to be talking about the creative side of artificial intelligence. I'm pleased to welcome Matt Swalley, who's a co-founder and chief business officer at Omneky. Matt, welcome to Behind the Numbers.
Dave, thank you so much for having me. Really excited to be on the Behind the Numbers show. And hi to all the guests out there.
It's a pleasure. And artificial intelligence is such a hot topic everywhere you go. It's impacting so many different industries, and I'm excited to talk to you about what we're calling the creative side of AI, how AI is impacting the advertising space. But before we jump into that and take that deeper dive, I want to have you just maybe introduce yourself to the audience and just a little blurb about Omneky.
Yeah, I am Chief Business Officer and a co-founder of Omneky. Omneky is an artificial intelligence-powered advertising platform that pulls in real-time data and analytics from where companies are advertising, learns from the data with something called computer vision, then generates content for all those different platforms and your different audiences. So there's a big change and evolution in content where now you have to follow your customers to all these different places they are. They could be on a website, mobile app, they could be watching connected television. Now you have to follow them to where they are, to all these different places, and help move sales through the process. And that's what Omneky does.
Yeah, and thank you for that. And I want to have you unpack a little bit more about what you just talked about there, about how sales has evolved over the past decade. I mean, the old traditional commercial advertising is, I think, kind of a passé thing. People don't sit through commercials anymore, do they?
No, so broadcast, yeah, one ad would reach millions. Then there was narrowcast, where we got a little bit more narrow with our advertising and targeting audiences. And now we're at a point now where personal information blocks a lot of targeting, meaning like you can't just put in the interest people's criteria that fits them and then direct ads to them. Today, a lot of the platforms use this reverse thing where they have an algorithm. They know what you like. So Dave, they know what you've looked at across your different mobile devices. And if the creative has something in it that resonates with what you like, you're going to start seeing a bunch of different things that are similar to your interests. And that's why content today, you have to have lots of different content that hits all your different ideal customers.
Yeah, and it's funny you talk about they know what you like. For sure, I recently moved and was looking to get some mirrors for a couple of the walls in the house, and I was served up mirrors galore on Facebook, Instagram, everywhere, just bombarded in my feed. So they know a little too much, don't they?
Well, it's learning from what's out there and what you see, and then it's going to serve you up ads that fit your needs. So it's going to be interesting. So that's one of the future things we'll talk about in a second is increased personalization. It's not one-to-one today, but we're getting to a point where you can become more targeted and more granular with geo-based locations, messaging for all your products, specific messaging. But I'm sure we're going to talk about that more in a minute.
Yeah, we absolutely can. Let's talk a little bit about content first, because everybody says content is king. I want to get your perspective on that. How important is content today?
Content is the number one most important thing in advertising today. And like I said, because of the fact all these personal information acts like California Data Protection, GDPR are limiting targeting, content is now the major driver for distribution. And secondly is the biggest challenge with content today is all the platforms are constantly changing their algorithms. So what works today might not work in 2 weeks or a month. So you have to constantly be evolving from the data and testing content that has images, short form video and long form video, and then serving different types of content that still fit your brand across all the different channels. Like an Instagram reel or a TikTok video is going to have a completely different criteria than just a normal Facebook or Google ad. So now you have to keep your brand standards, but also communicate it in different ways of telling your brand story.
And help us understand where the artificial intelligence component can help to create content that will create the next key component in any advertising campaign is the engagement.
Right. So where it's evolving and where Omneky is going is 10% human input up front. The middle 80% of content creation can be done by AI, and the final 10% is edited by human or revised by human again. And when I say that, it's AI can enable lots of parts of the creation process. So if you look at the whole start of a campaign to the finish of a campaign, there's multiple people within companies, within a company or across companies that have to work on creative. There's a strategist, there's a copywriter, there's a designer, there's someone that pieces everything together. And there's a reviewer and approver and someone that distributes it finally. So in the future state, a lot of these actions can be empowered by AI. Like you plug in the attributes of your different customer types. You could be focusing on retail, for example, in a specific city, like Philadelphia. And right away, all your copy is going to be written for that geography, like for that city. It's going to be personalized for Philadelphia. And you can also immediately go, if you have like product photos or something, you can immediately transpose around it the city of Philadelphia or something, or a building that's recognizable, instead of having to go do production. And then the final point of where AI is going is you can feed scripts based on AI and what you're seeing in the data. So like if you know a specific criteria or value props resonating based on the number of clicks or purchases or leads that it's generating, you can go feed a script with that and then immediately have something that's ready to go with more relevant news. Like a lot of the past, it could take a week or 2 weeks to react to something that happens in the news. There's like a market shift or something, and your business really impacts your business or your customers in possibly a positive way with your product. Well, now you can easily plug that in and have, full scripts and copyright and a strategy to go to market much quicker and react within, hours instead of days or weeks.
Yeah, Matt, AI may have ruined me in advertising because I experimented with ChatGPT in creating, a couple LinkedIn posts and Facebook posts, asking it to help create content that would, drive engagement around this particular topic. And it obviously I had to edit it when it was all done because it was written in a fashion that wasn't in my voice. And it's littered with different emojis at the front end and the back end, and it just kind of looks like it wasn't done by a human. Is there a more refined and elegant way to create content using AI so it doesn't look like that, if you will?
So something we're building, and then also what a lot of these open source applications are building in the next generations, is you can upload or share a bunch of your writings, Dave. You could share hundreds of social media posts. The large language model can scan all that, understand your writing style, and then start to produce those posts like you're writing. And that's where we're at. I mean, a lot of the products today are doing that. And you're seeing, like, with all these recent announcements, the evolution of AI is moving so fast. Nothing like this has ever been seen before, where we're seeing these technology advancements every quarter from some of these big companies. And then secondly, what we do at Omneky is you can upload like all your brand assets, your fonts, your logos, your writing style, things like that, and the AI will learn from it, and it will start to write like that or produce results similar to what's within your brand guidelines. But imagine where we're at today is still an early stage compared to where we'll be in a year or 2 years from now, and it's really going to just be this fuel and empowerment to move much, much faster, and for you to hit more audiences, Dave, or be more creative in some other types of, more personalized messaging for different people that are interested in your podcast or some other, element.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned that you've got human intervention involved in the process, and what you just described there and what I explained to you in my experience, it seems like that human component is really kind of critical, isn't it?
Very critical. And we see it at the front end. So the better the information you provide AI, as much whatever within the guardrails, we'll call it guardrails, the better the input for specific, we'll talk about personalization, but your audiences, the geographies, the products and services, and the platforms they're going on, the more granular you are, the better the output. So the better the input, and that's where people really struggle with AI. So prompt engineering is becoming a greater and greater skill. People are getting tired of prompting more and more too. They want it to be easier. It was fun at the beginning of ChatGPT, and that's where like generation 2 of all our products are going. So the better the input, and then solving the workflow challenges in the middle 80% powered by AI. The final 10% for a while is always going to have to be reviewed by a human. In our case, we have someone on the Omneky team that reviews it, as well as the customer. We have a platform that allows multiple customer contacts, even legal, compliance, can all review the creatives before they go live, because generation one of a lot of these applications had some bias in them, and that's getting better as well. And then once they finally have given it the stamp of approval, it goes to the platforms.
Yeah, Matt, for folks out there who want to learn more about you and Omneky, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Yeah, you can go to www.omneky.com, and you could schedule a demo. And please put in the note down there that you heard about it in Behind the Numbers. Or you can reach out to me at matt@omneky.com or find me on LinkedIn at Matt Swalley.
Great. Matt, we're coming up against a commercial break here in just a couple of minutes, and I promise you we're going to kick off the second segment with personalization. I know you're chomping at the bit to get there. But in about 90 seconds or so, I just want to kind of close the loop on the process, if you will, and touch on distribution channels. So content's king. We're trying to drive engagement. How does AI help to determine where to, we'll call it, serve the ads, I guess is the term of art?
Well, two different places. So our creative takes the ad, our platform takes the creative into the platforms. Now, there's two different ways you can distribute. One is you can do lookalike audiences, like a bunch of targeting within the platforms that will get delivered directly to that specific type of customer or email address. The second is, this is the key one, Dave, in the evolution of content, is you use the algorithms within the platforms. They all have them, that the platform optimizes. It looks at your creative and decides who are the best customers for this and who are most likely to buy. And then you use those algorithms with lots of creative and let it do its work.
Great, I appreciate that. Matt, on that note, we're going to take a quick break. You sit tight, don't go anywhere. Folks watching and listening, don't go anywhere either. We'll be right back on Behind the Numbers after this quick break. There's an old expression in business that you can't manage what you can't measure. Business performance and business valuation, it's all measured by the numbers. But I've learned that the real lessons and the tough decisions that are made occur behind the numbers. My name is Dave Bookbinder. Join me and my guests as we go behind the numbers to understand what really matters most in business.
I love that we both got an awesome network and saved money doing it.
I know, $25. I love that it's guaranteed for 3 years.
Hey, we're sitting on a sign here.
Switch and get Welcome Unlimited for $25 a line, guaranteed for 3 years. Verizon.
Hello everyone, I'm Mark Iorio. I'm the host of Rainmaker's Roundup right here on RVN TV. The show is about looking for people who are in competitive businesses that are doing something different and unique in the world of sales and marketing. Join me right here on Rainmaker's Roundup on Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m. and then again on Thursday evenings at 6:30 p.m. right here on RVN TV.
Oh, okay. Easy does it.
We switched to Liberty Mutual and saved $652. They customize your car insurance, so you only pay for what you need. With the money we saved, we thought we'd try electric unicycles. Careful, babe. Saving was definitely easier.
Hey, babe, I think I got it. It's actually...
Okay, show off.
Help!
Oh. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Joanne, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Market news, experts, the economy, investment topics, and much more. I'm Joanne Morgano, and this is Martin Salzman.
And we're financial advisors.
We'll give you the latest happenings on everything that affects your money.
And have a little fun along the way.
We will.
Join us every Thursday and Friday at 6 p.m. on It's Your Money with Joanne and Martin.
There's an old expression in business that you can't manage what you can't measure. Business performance and business valuation, it's all measured by the numbers. But I've learned that the real lessons and the tough decisions that are made occur behind the numbers. And welcome back to Behind the Numbers, everybody. I'm Dave Bookbinder, and we're talking about the creative side of artificial intelligence with Matt Swalley, who is the co-founder and chief business officer at Omneky. Matt, I know that you were really eager to talk about personalization in that first segment, and I held you at bay because I needed to set the stage for that, but I assured you that we were going to kick off the second segment, and I'm not going to let you down. So let's talk about personalization in ads, because we did talk about my experience with the mirrors and how I continually serve mirrors everywhere I go. Talk a little bit about this personalization concept. How has it evolved, and how has it gotten so good that it knows exactly what I'm looking for?
Sure. So we talked about this a little bit earlier. Broadcast was one ad that reached, millions. Then there was narrowcast that got a little bit more narrow with your messaging. And now we're at getting closer to personalization. And what we can see now is that's really exciting is you could have an advertising budget and you could not afford in the past to do production for all your different customer types. So let's just think of a B2B company that focuses on retail, banking. There's two verticals right there. What AI allows you to do now is look at the job title of the people working there, plus the industry, and power specific messaging just for those types of industries much easier. In the past, like advertising budgets would focus just on their major product, what the initial initiative is. Now, AI is allowing companies to scale content and power much more, when we say personalized, more directed towards all your different audiences. You could have a bunch, your different products and services. You could have hundreds of products or services. In the past, you'd focus on one or two or brand. Now you could focus on many more. The third is geographies and languages. So if you're operating in different countries, AI helps you translate that to all these different languages. And finally, fourth is platforms and dimensions. And we look at personalization in a number of different ways too. So video, there's two different elements to video. One is businesses have all this different content that they could have thousands of hours of content in their digital asset manager tools. And they want to tell their story in a bunch of different ways. There are things called supercuts, where you're piecing together small snippets of the story and telling it in a bunch of different ways. AI can help do that, but also learn from all your assets. It can categorize all the assets, make it much quicker to tell your story with your current assets much quicker. Add in the transcriptions, all that can be done much quicker. And the second is AI avatars. And we're at the very early stages of this. You can train AI on a person, or you can do even like different types of like realistic people or avatars, and feed it scripts right away, and it's immediately generating content. So like, I'll give you one industry that's a unique example is the automobile industry. Say you're an automobile dealership and you have a manufacturer's promotion go out on the first of every month, or an automobile group. In the past, you had to go generate all this new content, potentially with the auto dealer group owner doing production, talking about, come see us down here and talk to this person at the dealership. This is the promotion. Now you could have 15 different dealerships, feed that script to an AI version of yourself, and then have that launched personalized for each of those 15 different cities and different types of car dealerships that are part of your dealer group.
Wow. That's fascinating stuff. And I know AI, while it's leading edge and is changing the world as we know it in so many ways, and specifically in advertising is our conversation here today, it's not perfect, right? There's a trial and error component. Not every ad is going to land. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we like to say focus 70% on iterating off of what you've been seeing from performance data. So our platform pulls in data from all these different platforms: Meta, Google, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, Quora, Pinterest. We bring in this data from where you've been historically advertising. We identify key elements that are performing well, and we also look across the platform. So we compare your cost per lead or your cost per sale or your click-through rates. Those are some of the big advertising terms. And we look at the best benefits for each platform and then across them. So you might want to go optimize your budget. And that's one of the most critical pieces, is testing content across all these different channels. But we like to say 70% of the time, iterate off of what's performing well. And then 30%, you need to be testing brand new concepts. And it's critical to start with potentially a small budget on the new concepts. You see what's generating a lot of clicks or leads, and then you scale that into your larger budget for advertising. But it's a constant. In the past, people would leave ads running for a long time. You could still leave ads running, but you want to be iterating off of the high performing ones and then testing new concepts constantly, because as the algorithms change, you want to be adapting to those changes.
And Matt, who are the users of this type of technology? This is not just limited to larger scale businesses, right?
No, we partner with a lot of mid-market enterprises, large SMBs in enterprise, and then some agencies. And the users are typically an ad operations person, or we partner a lot with a CMO with our larger SMBs, because our team can be a direct plug-in to creative teams that have bottlenecks. Like you might have all these creative needs, but you have a couple of creative people on your team, and they don't have time to work on the big picture strategy that you really care, the high funnel things. Omneky can be that direct plug-in that's doing the performance-based creative, which is much more iterations, using the big brand assets and production assets. That's where we plug in.
Got it. So we talked a little bit about the idea of driving engagement and how AI can help to facilitate that. But one of the components of engagement that I want to talk to you about is attention span. We're living in a TikTok moment, and the microwave world, we want it done instantly. And TLDNR, right? Too long, did not read. How do you keep us focused?
Yeah, this is such a challenge. That's why you have to be going across all these different channels and targeting, and what you can call, instead it was like targeting and retargeting people with targeting it within platforms before. Now it's across them. So when you have potentially a bunch of customers that are going to all these different places, you want to distribute your ad budget across way more places than you used to. And that's kind of where, like you mentioned TikTok before, user-generated content performs a lot better. So you got to be testing people within your company's message, or people that have used your product's messaging. But that's where the AI avatars can start to come into play. A lot of people there's two different places that would play though. One is people wants, sincerity, then you need to have your actual customers doing it. And then the tech-related companies, AI is a really cool, the AI avatars are a perfect fit. Be going to market with for tech.
So Matt, obviously the goal of advertising is to generate sales, right? Increase revenue. Do you have any data you can share with us on the ROI of AI in advertising?
Yeah, so there's two different components. One is time and cost savings. So we see anywhere from a 4 to 10 times cost savings from empowering your team to do more with less resources. The other side is we can see up to a 30% decrease in customer acquisition costs during month 2 of advertising, in enabling the right creative output from AI.
Matt, for folks who are watching and listening, want to learn more about you, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
Yeah, you can go to www.omneky.com, schedule a demo and put you heard about it in the Behind the Numbers show, or reach out to me at Matt Swalley on LinkedIn or matt@omneky.com.
Great. Matt, we are coming down to the short strokes here, just a couple more minutes to go in the program, but I wanted to get your thoughts on what's next for AI in advertising, or AI in general. I'm going to let you take that wherever you want.
Yeah, so the next step is today, all these AI companies are testing what the capabilities are. We're still in the early stages. The next step is solving very specific business problems by powering AI into workflow. That's going to be step 2. And then also where we're going to see ahead of it is increased personalization. So we talked about how you can get more narrow with personalization. We're getting so close. With some of our campaigns, you start to think about the numbers of ads, and people are like, that's way too many ads. It might be ad fatigue, but it's not when you think about multiplying audience, your number of audiences by the number of platforms, by the number of your products, by the number of geographies. You multiply all those, it's hundreds of ads potentially, and it can be done much easier. But imagine the next step is learning more. Like you mentioned earlier, Dave, one of your questions was, how do you understand my writing style? The next step is going to be much, much better learning from AI on who you are as a person, and it being more like you individually. And then also, we're already seeing neuro learnings where people are learning from brain waves and generating what you are thinking. So that's not that far away for the people that want to do that, and it's going to be a really interesting ride for that as well.
And maybe in like 60 or 90 seconds, Matt, do you envision, I'll call them emerging channels or platforms where consumers will actually, consume this type of AI advertising?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Our CEO founder was going back to Minority Report, an old show with Tom Cruise, and the advertising was crazy. So everywhere Tom Cruise was walking, the ads were personalized on all these displays around him for what he'd been looking at in these different, it was like a mall or something. And we are not that far away from it. And that it was really, really smart of him to think. I hadn't thought back on Minority Report, but that's where we are heading with that type of personalization, where the walls are talking to you or the screens are talking to you with personalized ads.
It's frightening. Just a quick sidebar before we wrap here. It seems like every time I scroll Instagram, all I'm seeing is ads for protein shakes and rock bands. So that's what I'm looking for. So anyway, Matt, unfortunately we are out of time, but I can't thank you enough for joining us today on Behind the Numbers.
Thank you so much for having me, Dave.
It's been a pleasure. We've been talking about the creative side of artificial intelligence with Matt Swalley, who's co-founder and chief business officer at Omneky. Definitely go check them out. Again, my name is Dave Bookbinder, and I'm known for helping my clients in valuing their businesses and intellectual property assets. Please reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to have a conversation. Big thanks to the Big Cheese, again, working the board for us today, making the program go smoothly. And thank you out there for watching and listening. We can't do it without you. Please hit that subscribe button. Stay in touch with all that we're up to. We usually drop an episode every week. That's all we've got for today, folks. We'll see you next time on Behind the Numbers. Take care.